called as quantum mechanics. Now, till now what we have seen, that is called as classical mechanics. Now, what is the difference between this classical mechanics and this quantum mechanics? I think you are studying in physics, that is laws of motion, Newton's laws of motion, first laws, second laws, third laws, which are all applicable to your solid bodies you are finding, or any body you are finding, like a ball you are throwing to the top, or a stone is falling from the top to the ground, or your movement of the planets, that is your planetary motion. For all these things, Newton laws are applicable. Means it is applicable in macro level. Macro means big level. Whereas it is not applicable to micro objects. What are the micro objects? You know that now the subatomic particles are nothing but electrons, protons, neutrons, atoms, molecules. These are all subatomic particles. Very small level. Okay. Very small, so tiny particles. So these classical laws, whatever it is applicable for your normal day-to-day life, that is not applicable to these micro level particles. Hence, they have shifted to another portion of your physics, that is called as quantum physics or quantum mechanics, from which we will see what is the quantum mechanics or where that concept came. So first of all, let us see what is the difference between your classical, this is called as classical mechanics. Let us see the difference. Here Newton's laws are applicable, but here what it is applicable, that is called as dual nature. Dual nature of particle. Now, what is dual nature of particle? A big question mark. See, you know particle. What is that particle? It is nothing but the most indivisible particle is nothing but, Dalton first told it is atom. After that experimented, it is found that electron is the most indivisible particle. But this particle, you are saying electron, but it has also wave-like character. What is wave-like character? You see your light wave. What is its character? A light having certain wavelength, frequency. Now when it is coming for the particle, every particle has certain mass and velocity, definite mass, definite velocity and definite momentum. Coming to wave, they have certain wavelength, frequency, velocity. Yes or no? So this is the characteristics between the difference between the particle and the wave. But electron, it is a particle, but it has also wave nature. That is nothing but called as dual nature. Now are you clear about dual nature? Electron basically it is coming from the solid body, particle it is. The subatomic particle, that is nothing but called as electron. It's a particle, electron. But it has also wave-like character, like light waves, how it is. Means if electron has certain wavelength, then we say it is a wave character. Yes or no? That is nothing but called as dual nature of particle. Second thing, it is applicable only to macro objects. Whereas your quantum physics, it is applicable both for macro and as well as for micro. Micro, this is the symbol of micro. So hence quantum physics is highly preferable or not, because it is applicable both for micro, small subject, macro, big object, whereas it is only applicable to macros. So which one will be mostly preferable? Damn sure quantum. So now here what they did, they have changed the complete thing in terms of quantum mechanics. And the first person you know called as Mr. de Broglie. And while conducting the photoelectric effect experiment, I hope all of you know what is photoelectric effect. It is nothing but you allow the light to fall on a metal plate. That metal is nothing but it's a photosensitive plate, means which is able to sense the light easily. That type of material like cesium, potassium, like that of material. So when light falls on these metals, then it starts to liberate the electrons. That is nothing but called as the photons. So if you make one anode, this is nothing but that metal plate on which you are allowing the light to fall, that is called as cathode. The other side you make anode or detector, that you give the positive potential. and you connect one ammeter in between these two terminals. What you will find that ammeter is showing the deflection. This is nothing but called as photoelectric effect. Now what's the conclusion from this? There is a current flowing, so damn sure electrons are passing from the cathode to the anode. Okay. Now the question arises, light is a wave, but when it is coming contact with the particle, then current starts to flow. Hence the name of the current they have called as photocurrent. It is due to the photons. So now what is that photon? It is nothing but wave character of electron. Electron is a particle, but it has wave character, like it has some wavelength. So the first time de Broglie he tried to relate or the analogy between the wavelength, that is for the waves, and the particle. Having any particle means what it has? Certain mass, certain velocity, certain momentum. You have studied in physics or not? So he told that your wavelength equal to h by p. What is lambda? Is wavelength. H is Planck's constant, that is 6.636 into 10 to the power minus 34 joule into second. Similarly, what is your p? P is nothing but it is the momentum, that is product of mass and velocity, mv. First time he given this relationship of the wave character of electron, because you know solid body you have studied in your physics. They have every time certain mass and related with the, if it is moving, it is associated with certain velocity. So every body which is moving, they are associated with the certain mass and velocity. The product of mass and velocity is called as momentum. But light has wave character. So whenever any object is moving, they are able to present themselves in terms of wave nature. Or you can say every particle has wave-like character when they are in motion. But now the question arises in your mind, why we are not able to observe that? We are human beings, our body is there, physically it is applicable to all Newton's laws, but we are not able to find this wave character. There is a reason behind it. Now you see, what is the relationship between it? Your lambda is inversely proportional to mass. So when you are considering about the macro objects, so your mass is very high. So if your mass is very high, then obviously what will happen to your lambda? It will be reduced. So hence it is minute or negligible. We are not able to identify it because all our macro level bodies have heavy mass. Now coming to your micro level. When you go for micro, this is your macro, where it is a big bodies. When you come for micro, micro means it is very very small, tiny particles, like you are considering your electrons, atoms, molecules. So your mass, you know, mass of electron, how much it is? 9.1 into 10 to the power minus 31 kg. You just imagine how much small. You just take this 10 to the power minus 31 to its denominator. It will be coming around 0.91 like up to 30 numbers it will come, this much of kg. So small, you can just imagine. Sorry, it is 0.000000, last it will be 91. You just imagine how small, minute mass it is. So when the mass is so small, obviously the wavelength will be very high. So here the wave character is dominating. At which level? At micro level. In macro level, mass is dominating. That's what we are not able to find out this wavelength. Though it is existing, but we are not able to distinguish between them. Clear about it? Now let us see what happens once de Broglie given this statement. Then Heisenberg came and he told that a principle that is called as uncertainty principle. What exactly it is, he want to state is nothing but it is impossible to determine both the position and the momentum of a particle simultaneously. What he told, it is impossible to determine both the position and the momentum of a electron simultaneously. So hence Heisenberg's uncertainty principle came. Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. What it states? It is impossible to determine both the position. How you denote your position? Del x. It is nothing but called as uncertainty in position. Uncertainty in position. What is del p? Uncertainty in momentum. You know momentum, it is the product of mass and velocity. You can write it as v del v, because velocity will change, mass of the electron is fixed. So what's the way he predicted? The product of the uncertainty in position and uncertainty in momentum, it is greater than equal to h by 4 pi. It is the statement given by the Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. What he told? It is impossible to simultaneously determine the position and the momentum of a electron. When you measure the position, the momentum change. If you measure the momentum, the position change. So simultaneously you are not able to determine both these momentum and the position. What he told is correct, but it is applicable only for micro object. But what we are expecting? Something should be framed so that it will be applicable for both micro as well as for macro objects. So hence Heisenberg's principle, though it is applicable only for micro level object, it is not applicable for macro object. So we are shifting to another model which is given by Schrodinger. What is his name? Schrodinger. Schrodinger equation. What Mr. Schrodinger told? He is a great scientist. First time he make one wave equation, which is quite difficult for you to understand. What he given his equation, I'll write it. He given his equation in terms of h cap psi equal to E psi. What is this psi? This psi is nothing but it is called as wave function. What it is called? It is called as wave function. So what is this E? E stands for energy. What is this h cap? It is one mathematical operator called as Hamilton operator. So that mathematical operator, he expressed that psi wave function in terms of energy. Even it is actually expressed in terms of like this I, this energy in terms of this h is I h dash psi, dou by dou t of psi, sorry, dou by dou t of psi. This equal to E of psi. Where you know I is your complex number, that is minus 1 root. This h is, it is also a constant, this I is also a constant. So finally you find your wave function is the function which is given in terms of states of the object. Actually how the way he framed, you know, he framed one differential equation which you are going to study in the 12th mathematics or plus 2 science mathematics, differential equation. He framed one differential equation. The solution of this equation gives a wave function, and that wave function which is giving the state of the object. States of the object means what is the energy associated with it, what is the position of it, what is the velocity of it. But actually, exactly speaking or truly speaking, we cannot identify the exact location, position, velocity of it. It is nothing but simply called as probability density function. Do you know, if I ask what is the probability that tomorrow it will be raining, then what you will say? It may rain, it may not rain. So what is the probability? 50%. Got it? So same way, he could not able to predict exactly, but he given one equation in which there is possibility of finding maximum probability of what is the energy of the electron, where it will be, what will be the velocity associated with it, probability density function he has given. And that probability also, whatever he has given experimentally, it is found to be correct. So based on this wave function, he defined 3 quantum numbers in order to identify the atomic spectra. What are those 3 quantum numbers? That is nothing but your first quantum number, principal quantum number, you know it is n. Second, it is called as azimuthal quantum number, that is nothing but your L. Third one, magnetic quantum number. That is nothing but your m. This is the 3 quantum numbers given by the Schrodinger. What is the purpose of it? In order to know about the spectrum and how the way the atoms are arranged in their orbitals. So, all of you know principal quantum number n. What it indicates? It indicates is nothing but the number of cells. So, n is nothing but your n is number of cells. So, if n equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, what you say? K, L, M, N. Like this or not? So, if your n increases, what it gives information? The size of the orbital increases. If size increases, the electrons are going away from the nucleus. What will be their energy? They will be increase in energy. Clear? Now coming to the second, azimuthal quantum number. What it gives information? It gives the information about the orientation. The orientation of electrons. How the way they will be in the three-dimensional space. What is the shape of it in three-dimensional space? Now for example, what is the value of L? It is nothing but 0 to n minus 1. Clear? So if you are taking your n equal to 1, then L equal to 0. If you take n equal to 2, then L equal to 0, 1. If you take n equal to 3, then value of L will be 0, 1, 2. If you take n equal to 4, then L equal to 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, this is the way you are going to get it. Now what is magnetic quantum number? Your magnetic quantum number is nothing but it will give the information about the spatial arrangement. What do you mean by spatial arrangement? Spatial means it is called as positional or locational. That it will give the information about it. So, even you can say it gives the number of subcells inside a cell. So, for example, if you are talking about L, then it will be S. Then it will be S and P. It will be S, P, D. It will be S, P, D, F. Here it is belongs to 1, so 1S. It is 2, so 2S, 2P. It is 3, so 3S, 3P, 3D. It is 4, 4S, 4P, 4D, 4F. Clear? Now, this is actually applicable to hydrogen or hydrogen-like species. Now, what is the difference between hydrogen and hydrogen-like species? Hydrogen having one electron, one proton. Now, when you say hydrogen-like species, you can say even helium also, if it is donating one electron, then it will be behaving like hydrogen-like. Similarly, lithium, if it is donating 2 electrons, it is also behaving like hydrogen. But for multiple electron atoms, or multi-electron atoms, it is not applicable. It is not able to get all the spectrum correctly. So, they have added another spectrum that is called as spin quantum number. What it is? Spin quantum number. And all of you know, like our planet, on its own axis, it will be always rotating like this. Yes or no? Same way, electrons also spin on its own axis, but in the two directions, either clockwise or anti-clockwise. Okay, one in whatever the direction you consider, the other will be just opposite to it. So hence your spin quantum number always assigned plus half or minus half. Clear? So based on this, what they have found is that if your value of L you take and it is your subcell notation, and third one, if you take your number of orbital, then what you will find, the value of L you can consider 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you know your subcell notation. What it will be? S, P, D, F, G, H. Okay. Then what will be the number of orbital? It is nothing but your 2L plus 1. The formula is 2L plus 1. You just add it. How much you will get it? 1. Here 2L plus 1. Here it is 1. So 2 into 1 plus 1. So 3. Here it is 2. So 2 into 2. 4 plus 1, 5. Similarly 7, 9, 11. Okay. So number of orbitals here 1, in S, in P 3 orbitals, in D 5 orbitals, F 7 orbitals, G 9 orbital, H 10 11 orbital. And one more important thing, any orbital maximum 2 electrons can be accommodated. So if 2 electrons are accommodated, damn sure that 2 electrons they will spin just opposite to each other. Okay, so with this you can make the arrangement. They will give atomic number of any specific electrons, make the quantum number and the subcell arrangement of it. I hope you can easily make it. In my next video I will upload about with some examples. Okay, students, take care. Bye bye.